Good afternoon and welcome to my collaborative team's CollaborEAT Live series, a 15-minute conversation about topics of collaborative nature to help provide you information to make your practice better. Today we're here to talk about collaborative marriage planning. Some people call it collaborative life planning with Dr. Sheila Furr. Dr. Furr has been in clinical practice as a psychologist and neuropsychologist for over 30 years, working with children and families. She's a licensed psychologist in Florida and California and is board certified in clinical neuropsychology by the American Board of Professional Neuropsychology. She's a founding member and the current president of the South Palm Beach Collaborative Law Group. She is an accredited collaborative professional and a board member of the Florida Academy of Collaborative Professionals. Welcome, Sheila.
Hi, good afternoon, Ed. Good to see you.
Good to see you. So, collaborative life planning, collaborative marriage planning. I've done a couple of the cases, and I know that ultimately those end up in a contract, a legal contract, whether it's a prenup or a postnup, or it could be just a contract for two people to live together. So my question is, it's a legal issue. Why mental health professionals? Why do we need a collaborative team?
So we know that when we're dealing with relationships, and whether it's the beginning of a relationship or the end of a relationship, it's complicated. And there are certainly legal issues and financial issues, but there are lots of emotional issues. That's why you need the mental health professional in it. I've worked with lots of couples over the years who are at the beginning of a relationship, and they're excited, they're in love, there's lots of romance, but they're worried about how are they going to adjust to the changes, going from being a single person, only having to think about their own needs, wants, and issues, to being part of a team. And they'll come into my office to talk about those kinds of issues. Oh, how do we deal with the prospective in-laws? There's lots of emotional issues. But as the time goes on, it becomes very, very clear that they have legal questions and financial questions. And I've thought so many times, wouldn't it be terrific to have those three professional disciplines in the room at the same time, talking with the clients about these concerns and issues? And so a collaborative team.
Sheila, I've done a number of prenups, whether they're in or out of the collaborative process, those types of things. And there's always, it's like you're digging up dirt, or speculating on the worst that could go wrong. How do you keep, these, and like you said, these people are in love. They're at probably the happiest point, hopefully, in their life. How do you keep this from spoiling things?
That's the reason that the mental health person should be part of the team. We keep the discussion from being adversarial and contentious. We talk with people about what are their underlying interests, needs, and concerns. And they get to speak, and the other person in the room gets to hear and listen to what they're talking about. And we discuss it in terms of, these are life's realities. You maybe were working, you have a job, you make money. Well, you put your money in your own checking account or banking account or Venmo and Zelle, or however you bank and store your money these days. But it's going now from being to just, I'm doing this, to what about the other person? And do you have an I, a theirs, and an ours part of your money? That needs to be figured out. And in this process, we talk with people, we option build, we explore ideas. How might you do that? What do you think would work? Let's talk about different ideas. And so the tone is completely different. It's not adversarial. It's not contentious. It's, okay, you have a decision to make. Let's look at that decision, and let's look at ways to decide and lead the couple to a point where they ultimately make their decision about what they think works best for them.
Sheila, I know certainly in the collaborative process in divorce, there's kind of like two trails that go down. The financial person goes down the financial trail, the MHP goes down the children's trail. Is that utilized in marriage planning or life planning?
Well,
In
we
other
look
words,
at whatever the issues are that this couple needs to deal with. So it depends, it's very individualized. So you may have a young couple in their 20s where they're thinking about having children. Their finances are fairly simple at that point. But as you know, maybe a couple in their 30s, they've worked for a while. Maybe they have a 401k at work. Maybe they've been married before and there's children from a prior relationship. I've done this counseling with couples in their 80s. I had this delightful couple well into their 80s, and they wanted to talk about the children. They wanted to talk about how they would handle money as regards their children. They wanted to talk about how to bring two families together. There's always the in-laws. And so all of these issues, children, money, in-laws, all of this comes together. But it's about how you approach these inevitable, real, in front of them life issues. We're not going down a negative rabbit hole at all. It's the opposite. It's a very positive, forward moving, looking at your life. And it's an opportunity for the couple to have the benefit of experts helping them to think about things they would never have thought about on their own, and to avoid problems down the road because they've decided together. They've thought about it together. They've talked to professionals together, and they figure out a positive life plan, hence the name life planning, marriage planning.
so this isn't even necessarily for people who are trying to protect assets. You know, we think about prenups. One of the spouses has family money or things like that they're trying to protect. This isn't always used in that type of situation. It could be used for people who, you know, maybe even on even footing. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So think about seriously the couple who got married later in life. They're in their 30s or 40s. And they're trying to figure it out. They have these complicated questions about, do I need a will? Well, we don't have children yet. Do I need a will? I mean, who's the beneficiary of my 401k? You know, it's not contentious. It's not, you know, I'm trying to keep you out. It's quite the opposite of that. It's let's figure out together how we're going to start this life journey as a couple working together, not doubting or questioning anything. So it's a very, very different kind of approach. I mean, one of the things that I've discussed a lot in my cases is how do you deal with the in-laws? There's a problem that starts in the wedding planning. Plan a wedding, and if you've ever planned a wedding, and I have myself, you find out how all of the demons come out in the figuring out of how you're going to do the wedding and who gets to invite how many guests and who pays for what and who sits where. So, I mean, it's life stuff that comes up, and we can help people to get through that in a way that is not divisive, is not adversarial, doesn't create problems, but solves problems. And in that, the couple is learning how to tackle life, face situations in a cooperative, collaborative, loving, respectful way. And they go off in a much better footing and a much better emotional state with much more clarity about the legal issues and the financial issues. Prenups, my experience working with couples with prenups, and obviously this is not what happens all the time, but I've seen it break up the couple, that it becomes so adversarial, so contentious, so positional, that the marriage never takes place. And maybe that marriage never should have taken place, but maybe it could have taken place if they learned how to talk to each other in a different kind of way, and had the benefit of the financial neutral and the attorney in the room to look at the complications. It's complicated. So that's why the team.
Is there anything different about the process, the collaborative process in divorce versus in marriage or life planning?
Obviously,
obviously the outcome is different, okay, and you're forward planning as opposed to, you know, dealing with a crisis. But the process itself, it doesn't change, does it?
Not really.
You're still using the.
It's the process is much the same. What we do as collaborative professionals, what we're trained to do, is really the same. We're start off with where the couple is at. We listen to them, we hear what their needs and interests are, what their goals are, and we take direction from them. And then we bring our skills and the tone and the atmosphere of collaboration to them as they're addressing whatever's important to them. So it's much the same.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I just completed one, and in our team debrief, we found that the biggest challenge of these is figuring out the scope of your work. In a divorce, you know what, certainly me as a financial, I know what my scope is. I've got to help them, figure out what are the assets and liabilities, what's the income, what's the support. It's pretty, kind of cookie cutter in that sense. The one challenge we found is, where do you limit your scope? What is the scope? And do you find that the same way?
I think, again, it starts with what the couple wants. So there's the obvious financial issues. Somebody has a trust fund, somebody's inherited money or might inherit money, maybe an older couple who have children and they're expecting their inheritance. So you can make a kind of a list of what are the financial concerns for this couple, but it could be on various, and in other areas too, like how are we going to decide, do we spend every Sunday dinner with your parents or my parents, or do we alternate? How do we handle holidays? How do we handle that we have 401ks, or I make more money or less money than you do? How do we want to raise the children? What if we're of different religions? It's an opportunity for them to discuss any of the issues that are on the minds of people about to create a legal joining. And I think we can talk about financial issues, but not just financial issues, and be of great benefit to a couple.
Great. Anything else, Sheila, you'd like to share?
The way I look at this work is that we're giving the couple a path, a roadmap to future decision-making. One of the benefits of collaborative is that we don't just reach agreements, but we also teach how to communicate with each other in respectful, dignified, and productive ways, where relationships are enhanced. And so the benefit is not just in the end product, be it an agreement that gets signed, but in the opportunity to learn how to grapple with complicated life issues with love, respect, and dignity. And I think that's a great gift that the collaborative process can give a couple starting off.
Great. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Sheila, and thank you for watching CollaborEAT Live. Join us every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our CollaborEAT Live series. Thank you.